All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English. Before I begin, I do want to introduce my good friend. It is very late, so I brought my friend Melanie with me. She's gonna come hang out over here in the corner while I work. Um, so today's a really big day because it's the day you finally get to begin reading all about your topic. Woo! So the objective today is by the end of class, I can select and interpret at least two pieces of evidence from a source by finishing a research log. Now, the more you read about your topic, the more you're going to learn. Keeping track of what you find interesting or important as you read is one way that you can deepen your understanding of your topic, which is really what the unit is all about. So this is probably one of the most important parts of the entire unit. Now, I'm going to jump on to my tracker. We did part one on Tuesday and Wednesday, but today I'm going to show you how to do part two. A couple things. You always have the example linked over here. If you ever want to look at that, that's where you go. If you don't know where to begin and you don't want to just Google things, you can actually click on that link. That's a collection of different websites, different media sources that you can use to help you begin your research. Personally, I really love UCLA. I love Voice of America, and I love NPR. Um, but I hope that these can be useful to all of you as well. So I'm going to show you right now how to do the research log. This is the exact same thing you'll do. You're going to find an article, and then you're going to read it, and then you're going to fill this out. I have my article over here. It is about domestic abuse in the Korean American community. And I'm going to show you how to fill it out as we go. So first thing I'm going to do is copy in the title, the author, and the link. So title, really easy. It's right over here. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. Oh, there we go. I have my author, which is usually at the top of the article. This is by Monica Luhar. So I'm going to type that in over here. And then the link, really easy. Just find that over there and copy it in. The last thing you want to do before you begin step one is just really quickly what's called an MLA citation. We cite things because we want to give credit to people who I think wrote these articles. And so whenever we use information from things, when we're quoting things, or I think talking about these articles, we want to make sure we're giving them proper credit. So this is really easy. You're going to follow a simple formula. I apologize, I forgot to copy it into your document. So I'm going to pause here if you want to type this into your own document as well. Okay, so now that you have that down, let's go step by step. So the first part of the formula is last name, first name. The last name is Luhar, first name Monica, period. Then you're going to put the title of the article. Title I copied earlier. It's Korean American Coalition created to address domestic violence on a national level. Again, copy that in here. Then you have what's called the title of the publication. This is usually just the website that you got it from. In this case, I got this from NBC News. So I'll put that over here, NBC News. That was published. Let's see the date. Okay, I see it over here. The date is October 20th, 2015. And then the link, have that over here. Can copy it, and there you have it. Really, I think simple formula, and you can always use that to, I think, cite things for English class. Whenever you have paper or a project, you can always use that. I'm gonna highlight the formula in case you want to look at it again. Maybe write it down somewhere. And then I will delete it. All right, so that was, I think, all of the organization stuff. We're going to move into the actual article now. Step one is just to do a credibility check. So how do you find the source? How do you know that you can trust it? You can't trust every random person who writes about something on the internet. So how do you know you can trust this person and this article? I would say in this case, I found this article by Googling Korean American domestic violence. It was a pretty simple term. It does come from NBC News, and NBC is a high quality, I think, mainstream news, I think, organization. They get millions of viewers every, I think, sort of a month. They're known for, I think, high quality fact checking, so they're pretty reliable. And the other thing is that it's also from 2015, which is less than 5 years ago. So it's pretty recent. It's not like an old thing I'm pulling out. It's from like the last 5 years. So I can probably trust, I think, the article and the information in it. All right. So that was my, I think, argument for my article. Obviously, for your article, you will have to do the same thing. Just think about how you know you can trust the information you're being given. Step two is to do what we call skimming the source. And this is going to be to see whether it provides information from a social, political, or economic perspective. I hope you recall what those words mean. If not, just go back a couple lessons. We did a lesson about different points of view, how you can look at, I think, the same thing in different ways. So you want to look at, I think, what way the article is looking at your issue in. So let me go over here and quickly just skim. Okay. Talking about, I think, sort of community organization. So kind of like community, society, that would be social. All right, a lot of information. Gonna skim. Oh, okay. There's actually the word undocumented. She's talking about undocumented victims over here. So if they come forward, they get deported or get separated from children. So she's talking about like undocumented, I think, sort of women, and I think how they're treated by the law. So that would be kind of like politics, like political. Um, I mean, like, I think if someone's being treated differently by the law, that is definitely a political issue. Let's keep going. Okay, chart over here. A lot of information about, I think, like just the community. It's like the different organizations and different, I think, sort of people in the community. Yep, I think talking about like cities. So like in community. Yeah. So I would say I found a lot about social. I think some political. I'm gonna actually probably highlight both of those. And sometimes, you can look at an issue in multiple ways, and we talked about that, I think, earlier as well. So this source looks at the issue of abuse from a social and political perspective. I know this because it mainly talks about community and different, I think, like organizations in the community, which is social. I would add, though, it also talks about, I think, undocumented women and victims and how the law treats them differently. And that would be, to me, political. Sometimes I think you have one article and you have two different points of view in the same article. And that's also pretty common. So that's okay if you find that. So now that I've done that, I'm going to move on to my last step, which is to just carefully read the source and find at least two key quotes, copy those quotes into the box on the left. Make sure you, I think, include a citation by writing the author's last name at the end. And then I think just do a little bit of writing, capture your thoughts on each quote on the right side. So I've already read my article, kind of cheated a little bit. I don't want to show you 10 minutes of me reading the article. That would be really boring. So I think, read the article and find, I think, the quotes you need. I have mine, I think, picked out. I chose the one from earlier, about undocumented women. Where'd that one go? Over here. So I'm gonna talk about, I think, that one. And last name, what was her name again? Her name was Luhar. All right, so I'll put that over there, Luhar. And I mean, basically, the quote is talking, or the woman, I think, sorry, the woman in the quote, she's talking about how undocumented, I think, victims are treated, I think, differently by law, right? It's like, even if you, I think, want to, I think, open up or ask for help, like, you, I think, like, might make it worse if, you end up getting deported, or your family, I think, ends up separated, right? And like, that's just really hard. That makes it even harder, right? For, I think, abuse victims. I mean, like, I have seen this in my life. I think it's never easy to talk about, I think, anything you're going through. But like, imagine, like, knowing that by opening up about it, the law could actually punish you, right? I think be punished, I think, sort of, I think, for, I think, doing the right, for speaking up. And in my opinion, I think that's not okay, and that issue needs to change. And that's just my response. I think obviously people have different thoughts about this, but I think for me, this is, I think, just a very personal topic. So I get, like, very passionate about this. I have the other quote I found, um, which was actually over here. I'm gonna read that one out loud. When you get into smaller cities where Koreans are isolated, it's hard for them to find services. So sometimes we get calls from Virginia and Montana where there are few Koreans. They call because they hear about us and are desperate for help, she said. Same author. The article is by Monica Luhar. Um, that actually was really interesting to me. So I grew up in, Koreatown, right? And the thing about Koreatown, in LA, is it's probably the biggest group of, I think, like, Korean Americans in the entire country. It's like literally double, I think, like, the size of Hayward. So, you know, in the United States. So when I grew up, I never really had trouble. I never really had trouble, I think, like, finding, I think, I think, like, help from, I think, different places, like churches, you know, community organizations. I think those are all there, because we had, a big community. And I guess I never thought about how hard it would be. Like, imagine, like, if you're the only person who lives in a place who speaks Korean, and no one you call, I think, knows how to reach out to you. Like, how would you even ask for help? Like, that would be really hard. Like, I think it's this thing where, people who are around you, like, they get your culture, they get your language. I think, like, those things are really important parts of, I think, like, trusting people sometimes, especially if you're talking about, like, being abused. So that could make it a lot harder, right? It's around you who, who shared your language or culture to help. I also, one last thing, is this is kind of funny, but it's kind of funny, but I actually don't know, where all the Korean Americans are located. I know there's about 2 million Korean people in the country, but I don't know exactly where everyone is. So this also makes me wonder, I think, like, where do, I think, Korean Americans live? And, is this a problem, I think, like, in other places too? So that's my thoughts. All right. So that is my reading log. You might notice I have room for a third quote. I'm not going to do one because I always say quality over quantity. I'd rather have you do 2 quotes and be really thoughtful about them than do 3 and kind of just wing it, you know? So push yourself if you want to, but know that if you have 2, I think, quotes that you really like, that's totally fine. So again, I read the article. I have all my information over here. I know that I can trust the information. I know, I think, what point of view it's coming from. It's coming from a social and political point of view. And I know what parts of it I think I find interesting, and what parts of it I want to talk more about. So that's it. You will do, I think, one of these today, and you'll probably, I think, do one each day over the next couple of weeks. So, you know, a little bit at a time. You got, I think, a lot of space. So I think be thoughtful, be wise, and take things easy if you need to. So that is the end of the video. I hope this is helpful. Um, and right now you can go ahead and open up your copy of the research tracker and begin working. If you want to, I think it's an example. I linked mine over here on the lesson plan. And I also put, I think, a list of due dates for, I think, what you should be doing each day. So, for example, if you missed Wednesday or Tuesday and you need to catch up a little bit, you want to finish, I think, these 2 things by today. And if you missed the video, I put it over here. So if you missed, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, click on that and check it out. It'll hopefully help you. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, I think, day. Say bye to Melanie, and we'll see you soon.